Hello and welcome everybody. In today's video, we're talking about unlocking authenticity, what it truly means to live an authentic life. So, as with always, I'll start with a story. Around 2014 or so, someone said to me, Tammy, just be you. And I was terrified because I had no idea what that meant. I realized that I had played so many roles in my life, but there had been always been this feeling of disconnect from who I was. Something didn't feel quite right. And the older I got, the more challenging that seemed to be. I never really felt like a fit anywhere. When I was young, I used to say I felt too mild for the wild crowd and too wild for the mild crowd. And it seemed that while I was working as a federal analyst, I was a little too hippie, you know, and I didn't feel like I quite fit. And I got on my spiritual path, and somehow I felt a little too analyst, a little too heady for the spiritual crowd. And the truth is, there has been a lot of work to get to the point of realizing who exactly I am when I pull all the layers back. And what I have come to understand is that I never fit in a box. I was never someone who fit in a box. And I would attempt to get certain jobs and do my best to fit in and may even do a great job, but I really didn't fit in the box. I'd get into a relationship and I would just, squeeze myself down into the smallest version of myself for the relationship, only to realize pretty soon the rest of me started to pop out and it just didn't work. So, have you experienced this? Have you experienced this thing of feeling like you live this life, but it's a very, very, very small version of who you actually are? And there comes a time where it's like you're having to shut off parts of yourself just to get by, whether that's in your job, your neighborhood, your school, your church, your family, relationships. So, what does it actually mean to be authentic? What does it actually mean to just be you? People throw that shit around like it's easy. And maybe for some it is. But for some of us, there's always been this feeling that we didn't quite fit and we couldn't quite put our finger on what was going on, what was creating this challenge. What I found on my journey is that all the roots that were creating challenges in my adult life could all be found in childhood. And I've talked about this a little bit in other videos. My history has traumatic childhood, lots of trauma, lots of abuse, lots of loss. However, I have worked with a lot of people who do not identify with having the same kind of life that I did, maybe even thinking their life was picture perfect, joyful, beaver cleaver-ish, whatever term. And yet somehow their adult life still doesn't quite work. Maybe it's showing up in their health. Maybe it's showing up in their relationship. Maybe it's showing up in their job or their money or their parenting or their any number of ways. And when we begin to explore what's really going on, we always find a root that's been holding them back all the way back in the childhood. Now think of a weed, and I may have given this example before. Think of a weed. If you cut off the top, the weed stays. The weed is still there. The weed keeps growing. You cut it down at the bottom, but still don't get the root. You still get another weed, another weed, another weed. You got to get underneath the root to get it out. Now, what also happens in there is it's created a disconnect from who you are, a disconnect from your identity. Sometimes that starts in the womb, even. Sometimes it starts immediately after you were born, because you're also brought into a family of people who are having their own challenges. Maybe you're at a hospital when you're born and you're absorbing everything that's going on around you, all of which starts to shift and change who you are authentically. And an even bigger discussion is who you incarnated on the earth to be. What is your soul here to do? What is your soul here to accomplish? So the quest for determining your authentic self is a big one. I ended up creating a signature program that I call Unboxing Your Authentic Self. And I feel like that's what the process is like. It was what it was like for me. It's what it's like for my clients. It's this exploration. It's this opening a box that you've been in. Let's say it's the job box, for lack of a different, I'll just throw it out there. You've been in this job box. And then when you open the lid, you may find that, this is not the box I want to live in. Like, I don't fit here. I don't like it here. I don't want to be here. But the idea of changing feels terrifying. What else would I do? This is what I've always done. How would I make money? Like, we start getting all of these things. And yet maybe that particular job is making you physically sick. I've went through that many, many times. And I would keep getting into these jobs that felt like the right thing to do, the logical thing to do. And man, let me tell you, they got me farther and farther and farther away from who I actually am. The other part of this that I found on my journey was what I call the 4 magical pathways to peace and purpose. It's the mind-body connection, mindfulness, mindset, and manifest. So what does that look like? Well, the mind-body connection part of it helps us look at the physical and emotional symptoms that you have going on. We look at your whole life. We look at any physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, any kind of addictions, any kind of broken bones, any kind of surgeries, diagnoses, procedures, weird little things that happen. Because each one of those things are like clues. They help us determine what is the underlying emotion that is keeping you disconnected from your authentic self. So that's kind of a discovery part. That's an awareness part that we look at and we go through. Then we begin to look at the mindfulness part of it. We start to become mindful about our words, our breath, being conscious of how we navigate the world, being conscious of our environment, being conscious of our relationships. What is no longer serving us? Then we get to the mindset piece, and the mindset is like, okay, I'm consciously aware of these things now, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid to make these changes. What if this happens? What if that happens? Oh my gosh, what will so-and-so say? Oh, how will I feel? I will feel disconnected from this and that. So we start to go through all these limiting beliefs. The manifest part is how we start to get you to the life that you would prefer, the life that you would rather have. So often when people come to me, one of the questions I ask them is, what's your big dream? Like, what's your big dream in the world? And they say, I don't know. haven't thought about it. Or they say, I don't know, I used to have big dreams and then I just forgot about them. So, what our work does is clear that path so that you can start to dream again, so that you can start to feel alive again, so that you can start to bring those things that feel so far out of reach into your awareness. And the manifest part is about making those into a reality. Because at first, when people come to see me, they think they have one problem. And that's all they can see is this one problem. And a lot of times they can't see past that. And as we start to work together, things start to unfold. They start to blossom. They start to dream again. They start to get excited about life again. They start to envision this adventure for their life. When before it was just get up, go to work, complain, come home, do the dinner thing, go to bed, get up, oh my God, let's work for the weekend. And what if you didn't do that anymore? What if the life that you live was actually the life that fills you up, the life that lights you up, the life that feels like an adventure, and you go for it and you learn to listen to your higher self, listen to your guidance, because it is that higher self of you that is your authentic self that is crying to be let out, crying to get you into the bigger work, the bigger joy, the bigger version of you that you've been craving and couldn't find. So just be you, and learning to be authentically you is a magical experience. And sometimes it takes someone else to help you open these doors for yourself so you can actually find things you couldn't see before. We get so caught up in our daily lives that we often cannot see the magic that is all around us, that is calling to us. Sometimes we cannot see these gifts that have come out of these horrible things that we've walked through. And those gifts are shining like, yeah, hello, here I am, pick me up, do something with me, be a bright light in the world. But we can't see it because all we can see is the problems. So I am Tammy Coin, your holistic alchemist. I am here to help you change pain into possibilities and possibilities into purpose. I bring a lot of tools, and I invite you to schedule your complimentary holistic session with me. In that, we go through what you've got going on, whether you come with problems or you come with dreams. We look at those, we see if I'm the right person to help you get there and see if we're a great fit. So I would love to talk to you. The link to schedule is down in the comments. It's also all over different places in the channel. I invite you to schedule, and please like and subscribe and share this video content that I'm doing 30 videos in 30 days out with anyone who you think is looking for alternatives for their healing journey and a way to really up level their self-development. So, Tammy Coin, your holistic alchemist, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.